Good morning, everyone. My name is Grace Lusana Kamango, and I'm going to talk about cost classification and cost behavior. So, let's dive into defining cost before we go into breaking down costs. So, what is a cost? A cost can be defined as an amount of expenditure incurred or attributable to a specific thing or activity. So, then we need also to break down what a cost object is or what cost objects are. So, a cost object is any activity for which a separate measurement of cost is undertaken. For example, a cost of a service, a cost of a product, a cost of running a department. That's what is known as a cost object, or in simple terms, a cost object is something that you spend your cost on in order to obtain. And then we have what we call cost units. Cost units. A cost unit is one unit of a cost object of an item, is a unit of product or service in relation to which costs are ascertained. For example, if we talk of a hotel, we're talking of a room in a hotel. So that is a cost unit in that section. Okay, let's now break down how can we classify costs. So classify costs can be classified into different major categories, and the first one is direct costs. So direct costs, these are costs that you can specifically and exclusively identify with a particular activity or object. For example, if we are talking of a cake, we can ascertain the cost of flour to that. So something that you can specifically and exclusively ascertain to a particular cost object or activity, then that cost is known as a direct cost. We look at indirect costs. So indirect costs are just the opposite of direct costs. Indirect costs, these are costs that cannot be specifically and exclusively identified with a particular activity or cost object. Then we have what we call direct costs. Prime costs, this is a summation of all direct manufacturing costs. And we have what we call fixed costs. These are costs that remain constant for a specific period of time, which is short term, and are not affected by the volumes of activity. For example, rent. Then we have variable costs. These are costs that change with the volume of activity. So the more you produce, the more costs you incur. The less volume of activity you produce, the less costs you incur. Then we have semi-variable and semi-fixed costs. These are costs that are partially fixed and partially variable. So these are the major types of cost classification categories that we have. Thank you.